Hey, what's up, everyone? So, I've been inspired to learn more about AI tools, mainly because of this post. So, if you're in tech and on Twitter or X now, you've probably seen this article. And essentially, what it's saying is it's talking about how fast these AI like programming tools are starting to scale and how good they actually are. So, if we scroll through this, we see that kind of where I was a few years ago. So I tried AI tools and they really weren't that good yet. Maybe I just didn't know what I was doing, which is probably what the case was. But this is claiming that it's starting to get really good and a lot better. So I wanted to run through kind of an experiment. So the experiment pretty much was I graduated in 2021 from my CS program. And so what I wanted to do is this project that we're looking at, and keep in mind I was a senior a computer science student, and I really wasn't the best student. Um, but my project for my internet software development class was building an e-commerce store from scratch. It didn't have full functionality of everything, and I pretty much summed it down to about it, what exactly everything was for the requirements of the web app that I built. So it was just basic CRUD functionality, had a user cart item, and if we kind of poke through some of the code here, um, this was using the MERN stack because this was during the time where if you learn the MERN stack in 6 months, you would get a $300,000 total compensation job at Google. Needless to say, that did not work out for me at all. So the goal was to see how fast with these new AI tools. So what I used was Claude, and I used Opus and Sonnet, the newest model. I think it's 4 or whatever. How long will it take me if I didn't write any single code to get this project done? And so it was pretty interesting, the findings. So we'll see that right now. So I pretty much just started prompting. So here you can see me. I actually live stream this on Twitch. If y'all want to ever hang out in the stream. But pretty much what I did was just give it this idea and data model. So very just basic stuff. Um, and it gave me some recommendations. So for the data, I used Supabase and Prisma, I guess, which is pretty common with Next.js now. Again, I don't really work with these this kind of technologies in like my day to day job, so I'm a little rusty with this kind of stuff. But I do know a little bit just from working on side projects and other kind of things like that. All right, so the next step was just getting up the environment variables kind of set up. So this was just plug and play. So this is the only part of the application I actually inputted anything. So I thought that was interesting that literally I touched 0 lines of code for this project. Okay, yeah. So finally at this page, it built it. It finally gave me something that I can click into, touch. But again, it just had a few hiccups along the way. Just some errors that seem to not be handled for the code. And again, this is AI tools, so that's expected. But I think I was just trying to do some research on like what exactly these meant. So at this point, I pretty much called it because it met all the requirements that I put out initially. So at this point, it has full authentication, just like basic username, password stuff. Protected routes with the cart, ability to add products to the shopping cart, remove them from the shopping cart, increment and decrement, and then it even seeded it with test data. So now, how do I feel about this? Well, considering that the project that I worked on in 2021 took me, well, I guess it was 2020. It took me the entire semester to do that. Now, did I work on it like every single day? No. But if I had to guess like how many hours it took, and keep in mind, I wrote all the APIs from scratch. I figured out the Mongoose and like MongoDB like documents database. That was my first time ever working with it. I implemented my own authentication with like encryption libraries and implemented like JSON web tokens for the first time. So it wasn't more so about like the actual store. It was just kind of learning the technologies around like what went into that. So if I had to guess, I think that took me like well over, I don't know, 60 hours, I would have to say, if I like remember it correctly. Because I just didn't know what I was doing. And the fact that this tool was able to get that and a little bit more, like, I mean, we have a recreatable seed data. We have, a fully functioning UI. I'd say it's very impressive and kind of insane. So again, it's just a basic store. Maybe it looks like something maybe Shopify would release, or probably not. But in order to add items to the cart, you have to log in. You log in. So we logged in. Our cart items persist, I believe. I can add them. I can delete them. I can clear the whole row. The checkout doesn't work because that wasn't part of the requirements. So like eventually you could add like a Stripe integration or something or whatever. But yeah, 40 minutes built me this. But what I will say, and this is kind of where I get a little bit cautious when it says that like anybody can just build software now, like small teams, and like you don't need like a technical background to get into software, because there's a lot of problems with what this generated, and if you're not very cautious or even know that these issues exist in the software, you might deploy this or worse, like ship this to a customer. Obviously you wouldn't ship something small like this, but these solopreneurs that you read about and people making millions of dollars from all these products. I'm not saying you shouldn't, but definitely need to keep security in mind, and we'll see that right now. So pretty much I cross-checked this with a different model in order to get like a full audit report of what exactly was just generated, right? So like if I didn't know any better and I was like just reading about like, oh, you just use AI code, and then the next thing I would do is just like, okay, how do I deploy this, right? You'd walk through that, and then there's a whole list of attack vectors and issues there that you might not have run into. But let's just walk through some of the issues that it found on itself. So walking through some of this audit report, just have a few different vulnerabilities. So none of the endpoints had any rate limiting, so you could just spam call like the register and cart routes. Weak password requirements, security headers were missing. Some of the cross-site scripting, and then the other vulnerabilities there. No cross-site request forgery protection. So this should just be implemented on the different routes that we have. We're leaking some of the schema details if there's any errors. So it looks like we can get some of the field names and types and different validation rules because we're logging the Zod object. Some of the URLs aren't validated, so we're not using like the next image component. And then we also didn't configure like a allow list for where our image URL should come from. So like usually I believe how it would work is, you know, if you have an S3 bucket that where all your images exist, that URL and like that, like where it comes from would need to be added to like the whitelist for the URLs. I mean, just a few other ones. So, you know, we're not locking out any accounts. We could just like brute force trying to sign in if we have emails. A couple other deletes issues. And then these are kind of just some more stuff that was added. So just a lot of like not best practices that were found. But yeah, I mean, it's not nothing, but you know, I figured before you deploy this, you'd probably catch some of this. But again, this stuff isn't without flaw just yet. And I will say, maybe I didn't prompt it right. You know, maybe there was a lot more stuff that I could have did to like make it write better code and like follow best practices. And there probably all systems like that, but the way these things sound, you know, it's just, maybe it is just a skill issue for me, and I don't know what I'm talking about, but that's what I'm here to do, just to learn more about what's going on, man. So yeah, that was pretty much the project. I think what I got out of it was that I was able to pretty much recreate, you know, functionally what it took me, you know, 60 hours or whatever it was, a lot longer than 40 minutes done. And so, yeah, I think it's crazy how like good these tools are getting. And there's definitely stuff that I can learn to be better with them and to use them more often and to get ahead of adoption. But I'm curious to see like what you guys think, you know, like, do you use them every day? Like, are they as good as advertised? If you can like improve your like prompting skills or whatever, like what do you have to do? You know, I'm sure there's people that are way better than me at prompting. I'm not saying like I knew exactly what I was doing. You know, that's never been the case for me. But I'm just curious, man. Like, you know, you see this all the time. Like, you know, we're all gonna lose our jobs to AI. And you know, I think now I mean, I've always thought that, you know, the day would come, but I think like we're starting to see it more and more, and it's pretty worrisome, man. So that was my project. I appreciate y'all if y'all even stuck around to this long. This is pretty interesting to me. Something that I continue to just, you know, trying to learn more about. But I appreciate y'all watching. Let me know what y'all think about this. Maybe try it out for yourself. You know, try to rebuild something that took you a long time ago, a couple years ago, and just see how good these tools are. But I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all so much. See y'all on the next one. Peace.